Good afternoon and welcome to Metra AV Tech Tips, the Friday edition. I'm
Solutions. I'm Adam.
Tech Tips Solutions.
That's right.
The Friday edition.
The Friday edition. So, welcome everybody to Metra AV Tech Tips Solutions. Where on this is our
Friday edition.
This is the Friday edition. Now, normally on Wednesdays we talk about different tech tips, concepts to get out and good information out to you out in the field. And on Fridays is the day that we discuss our products specifically that kind of having something to do with what we talked about on Wednesday, either directly or indirectly. And because sometimes we don't have a specific product for something that we talked about.
Because concepts are large.
Because kind of like today. So.
Yeah. But we do have the nice backdrop today.
Yeah, we got a nice backdrop today. And
unfortunately,
yeah.
Adam didn't tell me it was a black backdrop day, so we both wore...
That's okay, you're talking head today, so...
Yeah, I'm a talking head every day, believe me.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump right into what we're talking about today.
And what are we talking about today, Adam?
We are talking about this right here. This is the CS-HDFBREXT-VLC. I did not memorize that.
But you did repeat it.
But I did repeat it. So this here is the HDMI extender over fiber. This uses an an LC connector to
typically
extend.
Utilized with OM3.
Yes, typically utilized with OM3 fiber, which is what we sell also in bulk wire and bulk fiber as well.
Simplex and duplex.
Yep, it supports HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2, and technically it does support HDCP 2.3 because it doesn't do any kind of compression. And
HDCP is just rides as part of the EDID chain.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
It supports up to 4K 60 HDR. It's compatible with multi-mode fiber with LC connectors, like I was saying before, which OM3 is a multi-mode. Transmission distance up to 300 meters.
Which in foot range is?
984 feet.
Just under 1,000 feet.
And again, I did not do the math. I just looked at it. Anyways, let's see.
That's on the box, isn't it?
It is on the box. I'm literally reading directly off the back of this here. This is the same information that you can find in our catalog or on our website. So if you go to metrohometheater.com, which is right actually down here on the screen, you can find out more about this piece as well. It supports bidirectional IR, and it includes both the IR receiver and
Now, let's talk about
emitter.
that real quick, because what's next week's episode from Metra Tech Tips?
So next week's episode is how does an IR extender work, where we're going to be talking about the difference between 12-volt IR and 5-volt IR.
Among other things. So is this...
Yes.
12-volt IR or 5-volt?
12-volt IR, and so
which means it's
used with most US-style IR systems.
So it's compatible with Control4, URC, RTI, Crestron, Elan.
Yep.
Pretty much everybody out there that's American.
Which, of course, next week we will be discussing more about those different devices that we have to use with that. So. It also supports RS-232 pass-through, and it has the mounting tabs to mount it onto a wall or something that's pretty standard for items like this. And it does include the SFP modules that are needed for the fiber extension.
So everything you need is in the box, including IR components out of the gate.
Yes, exactly.
However, since we're talking about IR, and it is about this product, if I want to connect this product to an IR port on an existing control system, what do you recommend I also get?
So we sell a part that is the CS-IRCC, and all that it is or essentially what it is it takes the stereo input, on a 3.5 IR input, and then of course on the other side it's got the mono for the output.
So your control system will have a mono jack.
Yep.
And the input on this is a stereo jack.
Exactly.
Now, it can be used at both ends. So if at the receive side you need to support more than one emitter, you can put a standard IR connecting block at the receive side and come mono out into the stereo port on a standard IR connecting block.
That's right.
To support more than one emitter.
So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, Brent,
hey,
on
Adam,
a piece like this, yes.
Why don't you go ahead and open that up?
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate that.
Just to let you know what you should be doing.
So, Brent, while I'm opening this up and kind of taking the parts out, where would you use something like this?
Well, typically in a custom installation.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much, right?
The goal is to prepare it for your future. And fiber is a great way to do that. And it's also, and we've had guys do this where when they've pre-run an AOC fiber, a hybrid fiber cable that's already terminated with HDMI, and something happened to that cable.
Yes.
Generally, electricians, plumbers, or framers will come back after the fact and manage breaking the cable. When that happens, one of the nice things about an AOC cable is there is 4 fibers in that cable that are OM3.
Yep.
And the chances of all 4 being broken, unless they've just been cleaved, and we've seen that on a job
Yeah,
site.
we have seen that, yes.
Is actually fairly low. So you can take a product like this that only requires a single fiber connection
Yep.
to salvage your job.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the unit itself here. I already did. I already got it. I'm way ahead of you. So this is the, we've got two units, of course. You have a send and receive. So we've got the transmitter over here, and we've got the receiver on this side. We'll go ahead and start with the transmitter. On the front of it, it's pretty straightforward. We have a power light, an optical light, and an HDMI light. Now on this here, what this tells us is the connection. Do you have an HDMI connection? Are you receiving signal from the HDMI? The optical connection, do you actually have a connection from the transmitter to the receiver?
And
then,
that
of course,
connects
power.
it to the next device.
Yep, exactly. And of course, the power is making sure that you have a power connection to this device here, make sure it's actually turned on and powered on, which is something that we're getting more and more requests for on our equipment. So I think we're going to start doing that more often, putting a power light on different devices. On the back of it, pretty straightforward again. We'll start left to right. So we've got our DC 12 volt power. It does come with the power supply that's necessary for it. This is a 12 volt 1 amp power supply.
With a locking terminal.
Exactly. So this here does have a locking piece on it, so you can make sure that this always stays
Securely
plugged
connected.
in and secured. Just plug it in and then screw that on like that, and then you can't pull it out unless you undo that screw, which is a huge help in a lot of cases.
Which we also do on our matrices.
Yep. Then, of course, you've got the SFP connector. Now, this is just a traditional SFP fiber connector. It just uses a single multi-mode strand of fiber. We've got a little rubber piece to protect that insert during shipping. And this actually comes out just like that. And this is just a traditional standard SFP module. Now, this one, of course, the send is a 10 gig module, and the return is actually a 1.25, because, of course, the data that we're sending is greater than the data we're receiving back from the display. We've got our HDMI input next to that, which again is a full HDMI 2.0 spec capability, so we're getting 18 gigs input on that. IR in and IR out. Like I said before, that's bi-directional, so we can send or we can receive an IR signal from either the source or the display.
Can you do both at the same time?
You can, that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that. I will have to look up
I
and
believe
find
it's
out.
bi-directional. Look on the box.
It does say it's bi-directional. I don't know if it's
That
at the same
means
time.
you can. So if you need to send forward from a control system and backward to, say, a local device, you can.
You also have the RS-232 Phoenix connector on here as well, so you can actually send and receive RS-232 data with the device that's on the other end if you need to. That's really handy for if you have projectors that use RS-232 for communication, flat panels that do that, or if you just need to control something that's far away, while also having a data connection or a video connection for that as well. Last thing over here is a USB, a mini USB connection to do a software update on these if necessary. At the moment, it's not necessary. We don't have any current firmware updates that are required for this.
Our goal is to actually never have a firmware update, because that means we did it right in the beginning.
That's the plan. So on the receiver side, again, really straightforward. The front of it is identical to the other one. We have power, optical, and HDMI LEDs. On the back, again, it looks identical. DC 12 volt power. You do have to power this on both sides because this is a
purely optical system.
Purely optical system. There's no way for you to transmit power across the optical connection right now. Again, you've got your SFP module on this side, little protector piece on that. HDMI out, and again, this is a full 18 gig HDMI connection, so it's 2.0 capable.
What length of cable do you recommend on the output from this device to your display?
At minimum, 2 meters. The shortest you should be putting on this is 2 meters. This is something that we're running into with tech support. We're getting a lot of, not a lot of calls, but we get enough calls asking, hey, the HDMI out, the connection for this extender isn't working. They've already gone through and tested everything else. We're finding that the HDMI output on any extender, it's not just the fiber extender, the HDBaseT extenders, or the non-HDBaseT extenders, they may just be a little too hot for the TVs
because
for those shorter
they are
runs.
designed to pass through a system and punch through distances.
Yes, exactly. Then, of course, you've got your IR in and out on this side as well. Again, your RS-232 connection, and again, we've got a USB for an update option on that as well. In the box, along with everything else, we've got the user manual. Again, pretty handy to look at that and find out different specs and pieces for it. The 2 power supplies for either side. We have an IR receiver, actually 2 IR receivers and 2 IR emitters that are in the box as well. Because it's bidirectional IR.
Wow.
I learned, right?
But wait, there's more.
There is more. We have 2 in here. These are the ears, so you can actually mount these units to the walls or to some kind of surface if you want to.
So, you know what? You do this so well.
I do. So we go right here on the side of it here. There's 2 screws on that side, and there's 2 more screws on this side that these actually attach to. And then you can mount these to a surface of your choosing for your installation. And so that's a, you got that button there?
I do. I actually did it.
You did good.
You
did
let
very
me do
good.
it.
I did. So with that, everybody, that's our, well, actually, a little bit more information about this piece. Brent was right. It's really designed for custom installation areas, or if you run into a problem where the fiber cable that's already in the wall has been damaged or backwards or something.
But now here's the other thing. It's a very reasonably priced package.
Yeah.
And if you have to go very long distance with serial connections, this is a great way to handle that.
It is. And actually, there's one other application that I use this in. And actually, I'm surprised you didn't mention this one. Because this is one of your favorite things to talk about. This is a perfect tool to use if you have fiber in place, of course. That's a necessity for it. But if you are running into a grounding problem in your HDMI connection.
And we have, in a couple of jobs, we've had to have them do that.
Yes.
Because when you look at a standard AOC cable, there's still copper.
Yes.
And if the display and the source is on 2 different legs of your power system, you can still get noise issues, which can walk over the HDMI or create hearing bones or other problems. And purely optical completely isolates that.
And you may run into a grounding differential of some kind that's actually damaging equipment.
And we've certainly seen that.
Yeah. With this thing here, it's great because you can make sure that all the power devices on one side are powered by one leg of electrical system. And you can, on the receiving side, make sure it's on a completely different leg, and the only thing connecting them is that air gap of fiber.
It's optically isolated.
It's a fantastic setup for it.
And we've actually recommended that on some very short runs. For that reason.
Well, yeah, and because this even does, even though it's it's rated at going extra long distances,
feet.
1,000, basically 1,000 feet, 984 feet. You are really looking at the capability of this of running shorter distances. If you need to get that, let's say for instance, here in our lab we had a similar situation where we had equipment on one side of the room and on the other.
Yes, very, very, very early on in our broadcasting here. In fact, we cooked some gear.
We did. Now, we wound up not using this for that purpose. However, this would have been an option for us to use.
We had an electrician fix the room.
We had the electrician come in and fix it. But if you don't have the option of having an electrician fix it, then this is a good fix for that because you can make sure just to run a short fiber run from one side of the room to the other, put this in place, make the connections, and now you've got HDMI.
Now, is there any delay in this inherent in this system?
Nope, this one is as if you were using an HDMI extender.
Real time.
So it's real time. You don't have to worry about any kind of major delays or anything like that. There, of course, with any electronic device, there is minor delays, but it's so small.
But that's the same with any device.
With any device, an AVR or anything else like that.
How hard is it to terminate fiber cable now?
It's now really easy, especially if you look at our fiber cables, our bulk fiber that we have.
And you have a wonderful training tutorial video on that.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. We do have a training video on how to terminate fiber.
It was required I say that.
I know, the script is there for you. You did very well. Yeah, good job reading.
Well, and actually there was a job threatened if I didn't say that about you.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to have to make the next one, and I'm not qualified.
Don't worry, I'll make sure to pay you later.
Yeah, I'm not qualified to do that.
So for the fiber termination, it is actually really straightforward. There is a video that we have on our YouTube channel, and if you're here watching this video, then you have access to it as well. Just look up Metra AV fiber termination videos, and that'll pull up as well, and you can see how to do it with all of our equipment.
It's a pretty simple kit, and joking aside, Adam taught me to do it, and I can.
Yeah.
So if I can do it, pretty much anybody can do it.
Pretty much. No, yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
So I think that's about it for this today.
So what's our next episode about?
So next week, as we said before, we're going to be talking about IR and how you extend IR, but more deeply, we're going to be talking about the differences between 5 volt and 12 volt and other items that you can use along with it.
Which we run into questions about that fairly frequently.
Yep, exactly. Now, there's one more thing that we're talking that is happening next week. Brent, you are going to be on another video.
Home Theater Fanatics.
Home Theater Fanatics. And in fact, I think I still have it
10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
Tuesday night.
Home Theater Fanatics, there will be a link to that in the description of this video down below, as well as this last Wednesday's video. There's a link to it there as well. But it's the Home Theater Fanatics.
It's their YouTube site. Please join us on Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard, and backdate that to whatever your time zone is.
Yep, exactly. So, Brent, I think that does it for us today.
It's a quickie today.
It is a quickie today. We just kind of get good information out there about our products. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to your rep or distributor, find out availability and pricing from them. And if you have more questions, feel free to give us a call.
Can you kick up our title bar with our phone numbers?
No, not at the moment. I can't for some reason. That's interesting. We'll have to figure that out. So at the moment we can't right now, but you can give us a call at 386-492-8584. All that information is down below in the description as well. Give us a call if you have more questions about this device here. Give us a call if you're thinking about using this in your installation, or if you're in the middle of designing a system where you think something like this would be handy for that. Give us a call. We're happy to help out with that.
And thank you.
And thank you.
By the way, reboot early.
Reboot often.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Turn off CEC.
And call tech support. And don't forget to check everything before you leave the job site.
Check everything. That's right. All right, guys. It's
Have
good
a great
to see
weekend.
you. If you need anything else, give us a call.